welcome back to another episode of Molecular Playground. In this one, I've discovered a new way of making potassium methoxide. Now, potassium methoxide is a pretty strong base, stronger than hydroxide in fact. It can be used in Claisen condensations, malonic ester synthesis, E2 reactions, and a whole host of other base catalyzed reactions. And with this method, you'll never ever have to use the ultra dangerous and super expensive potassium metal ever again. Now, before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and join the Molecular Playground community today. Now let's get started. The materials you'll need are potassium hydroxide, methanol, and anhydrous sodium carbonate. The first thing I do is add in a 10 molar solution of methanolic potassium hydroxide. This was originally for another experiment that I ended up not using. There's about 800 milliliters in this bowl, but I add more methanol and potassium hydroxide. As you know, I like to work in bulk. I stirred around for a bit to dissolve all the potassium hydroxide flakes. It's taken a little too long, so I use a hot plate. Once it all dissolves, I cover it with foil. Later, it takes on this yellowish color and some of the potassium hydroxide precipitates. I stir it into a slurry before I pour off into a more workable vessel. Add half to a flat bottom flask and add 100 grams of anhydrous sodium carbonate. Now the theory behind it is simple. Potassium hydroxide and methanol react to form an equilibrium with potassium methoxide and water. Since methanol is a far lower boiling point than water, methoxide can't be made by raw distilling. Instead, water must be sequestered. Now, I don't trust molecular sieves here because not only is this a strongly alkaline solution, but there are far better desiccants for the amount of water we're dealing with. I chose sodium carbonates because it is cheap, easily attainable, and can sequester up to 10 moles of water. Not to mention it's practically insoluble in alcohols. I pour off the other half of the original mixture into an Erlenmeyer flask. I do the same procedure to dry it. After a few hours, these are what my mixtures look like. I'm not sure why they are yellow, but research suggests methoxide samples can commonly turn yellow if they're exposed to air for a while, as long as it's not some anomaly. I pour a part into a 500 milliliter flask. I boil it strongly to quickly remove the methanol. Later, I attach an addition funnel. I load it up with more of my solution and slowly drip it in. It's important to match the rate of distillation roughly. In my receiving flask, you notice I have the original flask there with the wet sodium carbonate. I don't really have a reason for this, but it's cool to see the mixture separating. Later, the solution becomes a high-boiling, amber-colored substance. When cooled, it solidifies into this orange rock. I melt it down again to concentrate it further. An hour later, crystals begin to form. I'm going to keep this running until there's no more liquid. But that was a big mistake. Somehow it melted through the flask, ate through the metal, and completely mucked up my hot plate. The strange thing is, the rest of the flask isn't even etched, which hydroxides can do. The hot plate still works somehow, but any way you slice it, this guy is done. Attempt 2. On the plus side, I now have a clean slate. I start off with 600 milliliters of methanol. I add in 300 grams of potassium hydroxide while storing high. Pretty soon the reaction starts boiling itself. The heat actually gets more of it to dissolve. I slowly add more to keep the reaction going. Eventually, the solution clarifies with a slight discoloration. I add in 100 grams of magnesium sulfate. I thought this would dehydrate even better, but ended up precipitating magnesium hydroxide. I thought that reaction only worked in water. Anyways, I have to toss everything. Attempt 3. I repeat the same procedure but with freezing methanol. While I don't get that crazy boil, my stir bar ends up freezing. I have to swirl it manually to get the reaction started. One thing I noticed was this cool mixture separation. It soon disappears though. Half an hour later, I get a golden colored solution. When it cools, these long crystals form. I give it a brief heat before I continue stirring. Add 100 grams of sodium carbonate to take out all the water and let it rest. In my 1 liter Erlenmeyer, I do the same procedure. I add 600 milliliters of methanol, 300 grams of potassium hydroxide, and 100 grams of sodium carbonate. For some reason, the solution remained colorless even though I did the exact same procedure. By the way, both solutions have been sealed for most of the time, so excess air should not have been a huge factor. But this is an uncharted reaction, so I will continue with both. I decant both solutions into separate bottles. I get a fairly even amount for each. When I pour off the yellow solution, I'm left with fine crystals. The white solution actually doesn't do this. It just cools into a gel that still exudes liquid. When I get around 400 milliliters, I give it moderate heat before vacuum distilling. The solution rapidly boils. In about 10 minutes, it thickens into like a goo. Later becomes a solid piece. I add the rest of that gel into the flask. I vacuum distill for half an hour. It thickens back into goo before becoming foam. It is easily stirrable but still a little wet, so I vacuum distill more. Once it is decently dry, I break it up and put it into a container. I do my best to get as much of it out as possible, but there's a strong rock in there that just won't budge. I add some more methanol to soften it and vacuum distill again. It eventually becomes a brittle foam piece. I dry it up some more before I add it to my storage container. In all, I get around 410 grams of potassium methoxide from the white solution. For the red stuff, I do a similar procedure. It starts off running before slowly thickening and eventually foaming. Within the hour, I am left with a ball of salt foam. It's really hard to break up because the shape isn't conducive. Once I loosen it, I dry it some more. It's important to break it up between vacuum sessions, about every 30 minutes, or the stuff will turn into an unbreakable rock. In the end, I'm able to extract all my potassium methoxide. And this is the family. In total, I have 844 grams of potassium methoxide in varying methanolates, the methanol equivalent of hydrates. While I can't give you an exact percent yield because none of these are pure dried 100% salt, getting over 800 grams methoxide from 600 grams of hydroxide is not a bad trade. I'll use technical for non-distillation displacements, crystals for catalytic reactions, and reagent for distillations like dehydrohalogenations. In case you're wondering how I'm sure I have potassium methoxide and not the hydroxide, a quick way to test is to simply burn it. I spray some water and try to ignite it, so you know it's water. I place the methoxide nugget on the puddle and roll it around a little. While it is somewhat resistant, prolonged heating quickly ignites it. The fire is sustained by the methanol constantly producing. It can be easily put out though.